retiring makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, the guy...
Most warriors exit the ring on a stretcher, or they walk shattered, mumbling their lines, hunting one final payday that never arrives. But Terence "Bud" Crawford suddenly pulled off the boldest robbery in the history of fight sports. He didn't simply defeat 42 opponents, he outplayed the system itself. The news hit straight out nowhere. An undefeated 5-division world champion stepping away right at the absolute peak of power. No decline, no humiliating loss to a rising lion, just a silent exit.
Thank Bomac. I want to thank Red, Saul, Chad, Bernard, Dr. Conroy, Steven, Paulina, Shakur, Denise. I want to thank Julie. I want to thank Jessica, Ish, most importantly, my brother. I want to thank Harrison, my brother. I want to thank everybody that had a part in making this a success. Mama, Grandma, we made it. We made it. You know, it's been a journey, you know? It's been a journey. I remember, like it was yesterday, I went to quit boxing. You know, it was getting to the point where I didn't enjoy it no more. I didn't love it no more. And Bomac, you know, he always, hey, don't worry about it, man. Just keep going. It's gonna all pay off one day. And I'm like, man, fuck boxing. you know, but them having the faith in me and keeping me on the narrow arrow, you know, is what y'all see today.
While the internet is blowing up with debates about where he truly belongs on the all-time great list, one reaction rose above all the noise. It wasn't a promoter twisting a storyline or a rival throwing cheap shots. It was a message from Andre Ward, the last American great to step away with his zero untouched. Ward didn't just applaud the belts, he understood the escape. He knows exactly what it costs to walk away when the world is begging you to stay. In his words to Crawford, quietly expose a darker truth about boxing that fans almost never consider. This wasn't simply a retirement, it was a survival story.
I'm not surprised that Crawford's retiring at all. You know, he's talked about it before in the past, and certainly there's no better way to go, right, than to walk away from the sport, a sport that retires too many people on sports terms, and to go out after beating Canelo Alvarez in the biggest fight in a long time in a stadium is storybook stuff. So I'm not surprised he's retiring. I am surprised by the timing of it. I didn't expect this to come today. You know, I thought there was a great chance he was going to fight again next year. And maybe he still will. Who knows, right? You never know with boxing retirements. So surprised in one sense and not surprised in another sense.
Andre Ward's reaction was instant and strikingly precise. He dropped a salute on Instagram that sliced straight through all the usual generic congratulations.
Personally, I wouldn't be mad if I never see Terence fight again. The way he performed, getting ready to be 38, I think, in a few days. Man, what better way to go out? What better way to tell the game goodbye? What better way? Who you gonna fight? I was arguing with Max on the way to the venue about Boots Ennis. Nah, we don't go fight Canelo and then go back and fight Boots Ennis. I saw a report today. Somebody was talking about him going up to light heavyweight. Nah, we don't go up to light heavyweight. We just went up 3 weight classes since the Spence fight and 2 weight classes since the Madrimov fight, my last fight. This is the perfect send-off, Roy.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Without a
it's
question.
the perfect send-off.
He wrote, "Salute to a real one." Bud beat one of the toughest opponents any fighter will ever face, the sport itself. Yes, Bud. That line, "beat the sport itself," feels haunting once you really sit with it. Ward continued, "Retire from boxing. Don't let boxing retire you." That's a mindset you only hear from someone who has lived deep in the trenches. Ward understands boxing is built to grind fighters down. The system is designed to keep you fighting until you're an empty version of yourself, draining every final ounce of value before you're tossed aside. By honoring Crawford, Ward is pointing to the rarest win of all, protecting your health and your mind. Crawford isn't walking away because he's slow or damaged. He's leaving because he finished the journey. That nod from Ward wasn't just praise, it was a breath of relief for a brother in battle who escaped the business without becoming one of its casualties.
Personally, I wouldn't be mad if I never see Terence fight again. The way he performed, getting ready to be 38, I think, in a few days. Man, what better way to go out? What better way to tell the game goodbye? What better way? Who you gonna fight? I was arguing with Max on the way to the venue about Boots Ennis. Nah, we don't go fight Canelo and then go back and fight Boots Ennis. I saw a report today, somebody was talking about him going up to light heavyweight. Nah, we don't go up to light heavyweight. We just went up 3 weight classes since the Spence fight and 2 weight classes since the Madrimov fight, my last fight. This is the perfect send-off, Roy.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Without
It's
a
the
question.
perfect send-off.
We need to pause and understand just how exclusive this club truly is. With this announcement, Terence Crawford steps alongside Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather Jr. into the smallest circle of modern legends who walked away undefeated. But this moment carries a different weight. Ward retired at 32-0 in 2017, stunning the world right after his brutal battles with Sergey Kovalev. The pressure to return was massive, yet he never broke. He recognizes that same discipline in Crawford. Crawford, leaving at 42-0, especially in the 4-belt era, is statistically unreal. To move through 5 separate weight divisions without a single stain is something we may not witness again for generations. The bond between Ward and Crawford runs deeper than records. Both were defensive geniuses, often criticized for being too skilled or too precise. Still, both chose to end their stories on their own terms. When Ward says salute, it's an invitation into a private room where perfection is the entry fee. They are the only 2 men in recent history who faced the temptation of one more fight and chose their legacy instead.
How many? Like I can tell you some of them. Gene Tunney was the first guy. It's not that he was undefeated, but he was light heavyweight who moved up to heavyweight, beat Jack Dempsey, beat him in a rematch, walked away on top, right? Rocky Marciano walked away on top. Lennox Lewis walked away on top. Joe Calzaghe walked away on top. But I don't know, Eder Joffrey, a guy who not a lot of people know about anymore, but who was one of the greatest fighters ever, walked away after a loss where he got ripped off, came back years later in another division, reeled off about 27 wins, won another title in a heavier division, and then walked away on top. But I don't know that anyone has done it quite like Terence Crawford, because Lennox Lewis, Andre Ward walked away on top after beating Kovalev. Maybe Andre came closest to doing what Crawford just did if he doesn't come back and if Crawford stays retired. But Lennox really struggled with Vitaly Klitschko. And he looked at Vladimir Klitschko and thought, I think I can do it. I believe I can do it if I make myself get into that level of shape. I don't want to do that anymore. You know, like an American football player who says, I just don't want to run through that brick wall anymore. But the question really is, can you still do that if you think you don't want to anymore? So a wise man says, I don't want to find out. I'm going to retire. Andre Ward, I think it was the same thing after Kovalev. Like he could look at Beterbiev, a few other guys, and go, yeah, I could do it, but oh my God, that's going to be hell. And I put myself through hell for this many years already. I don't want to do it anymore.
If you've been watching boxing media closely over the past few years, you already know Andre Ward has been Crawford's shield against the critics long before this retirement moment. On his show, All the Smoke, Fight, Ward has repeatedly gone to battle with other analysts to protect Crawford's legacy. There's a well-known clip where Ward gets locked into a fiery exchange with Mark Criddle, forcefully pushing back against the idea that the media was manufacturing a false story that Crawford hadn't fought anyone.
I don't have to talk to you, right? So I'll use Terence Crawford as an example. And I'm not gonna name names, but I'm gonna just speak generally. A lot of people were wrong about him. Bob has his opinion about, I'm not looking at the books, I can't speak on what he lost, I can't speak on that, but I'm saying him not being a draw, you know, talking about his personality, you know, and not realizing this dude's story, which you detailed in great detail this whole time at ESPN, but not having the wherewithal to say, man, maybe he's not very talkative because of what he's coming from, and there's a trust thing, so let me do a little work to try to build this trust.
Ward noticed greatness while everyone else was busy arguing about matchmaking politics. He insisted Crawford was the best fighter on the planet years before the Errol Spence or Canelo Alvarez bouts even took shape. Ward's validation now isn't revisionist history. It's a quiet, I told you so, aimed at the entire industry. He understood Crawford was being iced out because he was high risk with very little reward for other stars. Now that Crawford has dominated everyone and walked away, Ward's old defenses sound almost prophetic. He knew the talent couldn't be denied, and he refused to let networks minimize it. The respect between these two didn't come from watching tape. It was forged in blood and sweat behind closed doors. Ward has been brutally transparent in recent clips about sparring with Crawford early in Bud's career. He admitted that even when Crawford was smaller and less seasoned, something felt different inside the ring. He described that famous switch, the instant Crawford flips southpaw and rewrites the geometry of a fight. Ward said he tested Crawford in the gym and Crawford pushed right back. Real fighters recognize the difference between a champion and a generational talent within 3 minutes of sparring. Ward realized years ago that Crawford carried a computer-like fight IQ that mirrored his own. That's why this salute lands so heavy. It isn't polite respect, it comes from someone who has felt Crawford's power and precision firsthand. Ward knew that if anyone could cross the minefield of a 20-year career without getting blown apart, it was the man he exchanged punches with in that Hayward gym.
You fight how you spar how you fight. And if I'm in there just doing this, catch, then when the fight come and everything is full blast, full speed, I'm not gonna be able to keep up because I done train that way.
Right.
I can hit the bag, I can hit the miss, all that I want, but nothing's coming back.
Right.
I'm not feeling that presence of a person pushing me, hitting me, holding me, things like that. So sparring is very important. And not saying that you have to, you know, go hard every single time you spar, but there gotta be days where, you know, that fighter is trying to put it on you because now you're getting used to that and now your body is getting in shape to withstand the rounds, the time, the grappling, the holding, the hitting, all that. So you need that.
How do you judge when you're doing too much hard sparring?
Your body will tell you. I'm a firm believer in listening to my body. You know, so I've been doing this a long time. My coaches, they've been doing this just as long or longer, or Bomac longer. Well, we all started, you know, this journey on when I was 2008 when I turned pro. So they've been around me since I was a kid, so they know when my body is breaking down or when I'm complaining about something. Bo would be like, all right, well, we're gonna do this today.
The timing of this retirement feels like the ultimate mic drop. According to reports, Crawford is stepping away right after a historic victory over Canelo Alvarez, locking himself in as an undisputed champion in a third weight class. This is the missing piece that makes Ward's "beat the sport" comment hit so deeply. Ward broke that fight down with Roy Jones Jr., peeling back the layers of tactical brilliance Crawford used to climb weight classes and dismantle the face of boxing. Most fighters would milk a Canelo win, chasing a rematch or stumbling into a messy cash grab fight. but Crawford treated Canelo like the final boss. He showed that skill pays the bills, neutralizing the size gap with pure science. Ward celebrated it because it confirmed the hit and don't get hit philosophy they both live by. By retiring right after his biggest victory, Crawford locked his legacy at its absolute peak. He never gave the sport the chance to humble him.
Man, I ain't boxing no more, man. Y'all can have that. You know what I mean? So, you know what got me back into boxing? That kid that y'all seen performing at my fight got me back in boxing. Just the thought of people saying that he can beat me, and I haven't been boxing for years, led me back to boxing. And him pushing me and me pushing him, and we competing to be the best fighter in the gym. I want to thank all my fans here that support me. I want to thank. This is bigger than the norm, you know, because I want to thank my urban community. I want to thank my Latin community. I want to thank my white community, and I want to thank my Asian community, my African community. I want to thank everybody, because today you see us all as one.
Let's be honest about the kind of discipline this actually demands. By saying, "I have nothing left to prove," Crawford is walking away from tens of millions of dollars sitting right there. There were whispers of a Canelo rematch, talk of a middleweight run for a 6th belt, promoters circling with blank checks in hand. In combat sports, turning your back on that level of money almost never happens. Ward hinted at this in his post. It's about leaving while it's still fashionable. We've watched too many legends stay too long. We watched Roy Jones Jr. get knocked out in Russia. We watched James Toney slur his words. Crawford studied that history and chose himself over the paycheck. That's real discipline. Anyone can be disciplined during training camp. Almost no one can stay disciplined when a 9-figure contract is being waved in front of them. Crawford picked his future over his bank account, and that's a win only a handful of athletes ever truly earn.
Retiring makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, the guy has literally accomplished the biggest thing you can possibly accomplish in boxing, and that's being on Mount Rushmore. I mean, not only did he end on top by being the best fighter in the world, he is a long-lasting fighter. I mean, he's knocking on 39 years old. It's appropriate. And with all the things that he's accomplished and everything that he's gone through as of late, as far as being stripped of the titles and everything like that, listen, man, Terence Crawford is just, it makes sense for him to go ahead and bow out and say that I'm done. And he ends his career as being one of the greatest fighters to ever do it. So shout out to...
In the end, Terence Crawford's exit feels like a bold, revolutionary move. He proved to the next generation that you don't have to let the sport swallow you whole. You can reach the peak, plant your flag, and descend with your dignity intact. Andre Ward's salute becomes the ultimate nod to a career without blemish. They stand as the two grandmasters of this era, the ones who cracked the code and walked away carrying every piece.
Phenomenal. A message from Terence Crawford. This was on his retirement. The gloves may have come off, but the legacy is forever. History is never retired. I have to say, again, right? So the way Terence Crawford was talking and the kind of vibe you got, even before the Canelo fight was announced, you're talking kind of after he beat Israel Madrimov. You got the impression from Crawford that there was one foot out the door. You got that impression. You know, there was no talk of boots. There was no talk of fighting some of the other guys at 154 pounds. It was really just Canelo or bust. You got that impression off. And again, like, he's in his late 30s, 38 years old. So for me, I was thinking, okay, he fights Canelo and we see what happens. And he fights Canelo, wins, and wins in impressive fashion, might I add. And then you start hearing about rematches. Apparently he was offered Jake Paul. I can kind of see why he turned that fight down, to be fair. But then you hear Canelo Alvarez start talking about Terence Crawford rematch. I have a rematch. We're going to do it next year. Canelo Alvarez, only a couple of days ago, when I was speaking about it on Review of the Week, was saying that he's not going to fight in May of this year. He's going to probably leave that to Benavidez and Zurdo. And it's going to fight in September, most likely the Crawford rematch. Well, this put the brakes on that. I don't know how I feel about this.
Crawford showed us that skill can outshine size, and Ward showed that legacy outlasts money. Looking back on 42-0, the real question isn't who could have stepped in next. The question is, will we ever witness a mind like this again? He didn't just claim the belts, he outsmarted the system, he silenced the critics, and just like Andre Ward said, he conquered the sport itself. That's it for today's video. If you felt the impact, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss what's coming next. Share your thoughts in the comments, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.